was okay. Okay.
It's going to YouTube. I'm for click record.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Black Talk Show. I have with me Jose. Is it PR? Is
Yeah,
that saying
PR
right?
Pereira, yes.
And then I have Coach Janine here with me today. Welcome each one of you.
Hello, how are you?
Thank you,
Good.
Christina.
Yeah. So, Jose, could you introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. This is the second time I'm being in your show. By the
Yes.
way, let me tell you, the first show I did was with you. So when I begin to, I have a funny thing to say, because when I was beginning to do my book, and my editor said, "Well, you have to do a podcast." I will begin to do podcast, and then you were the first person that did a podcast with me. So
Yes.
for me, it's an honor coming back to you now. The book is ready. Yeah, my name is Jose Pereira. I'm a former oil and gas executive. I worked 35 years in the oil and gas, but I went through a situation in 2017 that by that time I was the CEO of a company called here, Sigo Petroleum. Very well known because there are a lot of gas stations of Sigo all over the U.S. Sigo has 6,000 gas stations. So I was the president of that company by that moment. And we were invited to a last minute business trip in Venezuela, and it was a setup. It was a setup because by that time, unfortunately, there was having a lot of issue with that country because U.S. had declared that government illegit. They were forcing them. They were putting sanctions, and we inadvertently were caught in the middle of that political situation that we wasn't nothing to do with us. Was a problem with, but we were there. We were in the wrong place in the wrong moment. So
Yes.
and that situation for us became a nightmare because it lasted 5 years. We stayed 5 years as hostage. If we became the political pawns of the situation, and the negotiation were so hard between the two governments that at some point the administration of Trump came out, it came Biden administration, they did a kind of soft diplomacy. And the long story short is that in October 1st, we came back through a prisoner swap, movie style, in a Caribbean island called San Vincent and Grenadine. They swap up. There are two nephews of the president of Venezuela that were here in Miami for drug dealing. So we were swapped for these two guys. So it was, I always remember that two planes landing, we going to one plane, the other guy going to the, I never saw being in the situation. I saw that scene always in the movies.
Movies,
But
yeah.
that day I was part of the movie, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about your book, Lunch.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So yeah. Tell us the name of your book.
The book is From Hero to Villain, the true story of the Citgo Six. That for the audience, the Citgo Six was the brand we got that by that moment, because when I flew to Venezuela to that unfortunate trip, I went with my 5 top executives. We were 6 guys. So the 6 were got in the situation. And in 1 year after, because the first year, that was 2017, November 2017. So in December 2018, 1 year after, was happening nothing, because what our family was instructed, the 6 family, was to be quiet, don't say nothing. We're gonna handle things. They were already talking with the U.S. government, but well, at some point they said, this is not working, we're gonna go to the press. So they went really loudly to the press. You can see in from January 2019 and on, tons and tons of articles and interviews, whatever. All the family displayed all over to do noise in the press. And at some point, the press, I don't know where it came from, they decided to call us the Citgo Six, and that became like a brand. It became like a really like a brand, because you saw, if you see the interviews of that moment, any officer, any constituent, any congressman, anybody that was talking about us always called us the Citgo Six. So my story is the true story of the Citgo Six.
Okay, yeah. Also, so how did you manage to maintain hope and resilience during the time in captivity, and how does that resilience come through in your writing?
Well, this is a very awesome question, because the other thing, the way we, to the audience, the way we wrote the book. So the first year we were there in totally isolation. We were put in a place that was called the submarine, that was like a vessel, totally locked. We stayed almost 1 year there, totally locked, without not knowing the day, the time, the hour, nothing, because we had that light 24/7 turn on. And we didn't have no watch, no nothing. So at some point you lose the sense, the control of everything. So the situation was going so bad, and our family didn't have no contact with us. So they went to the UN through the US government, triangulated through the UN, because I had to say something else. That the thing went so bad between the US and Venezuela, the Venezuelan government expelled the ambassador. Still today, there is not U.S. ambassador. So we were kind of left behind. So they didn't have no direct contact, so they contacted the UN. The UN flew to Venezuela, they visit us, and at some point, they pressed to get us some kind of relief in our situation, and we begin to receive food, because the food was terrible. So our family began to provide us through a third-party food. First was 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and we begin to receive food. When I begin to receive those food prepared within the cans, when those cans, I had to set it back to bring it a new food. So I decided to begin to smuggle letters in those cans. I asked the guy that was providing me the food to bring me a pen and some napkins. I begin to write. And my wife, when she saw the first letter, she got scared, but she decided to write me back. So we begin to do that, like every 2 days. I was writing her. 2 days after, she replied to me, and we begin to do that, and that became like a routine during 3 years. And that became like 1,000 letters that we wrote. So when I came back, my wife not only had the letters compiled, she has transcribed it in Word. So when I came back in October last year, literally the book was there. because we were writing on a daily basis. So I was kind of doing my memoir. I was not aware. I was doing only to get communicated to her. And because at some point, and let me be honest, I thought that I could not make it. So I said, well, at least she's going to have my memories. So that became like the base of my book. So when I came back, I literally could have done the book in 1 month, but there have been some events going in all these months. I was in the healing process. I was not prepared. So the moment is perfect, because the book is coming now almost 1 year after I came back. But the essence of the book is those letters that became like the memoir of the moment, or what I was feeling in that moment. So that's basically the essence of the book.
Okay. That's cool, because I remember you telling me when we first interviewed that you did the letters, and now you compiled your book, and now it's ready. And I'm happy for you. I'm so excited that this book is coming out. I can't wait to read it. Okay, so what message or insight do you have for readers will gain from reading your book?
Well, my legacy, my book, I believe is going to be a legacy to the world, because the way we wrote the book was not only talking about the suffering and the ordeal, because people have suffering and ordeal in their normal life. Everybody has their own prison in their life. So I was talking about a particular case, but for me, the legacy of the book is the transcendence, how you can overcome adversity in the life. Because today, Tina, I'm a adversity and resident coach. I decided to convert this in a program and I doing public speaking about this. I have by the way, I was talking with your colleague, Chief from Dallas. I was 1 week ago in Dallas in a speaking gig that was really awesome. Called the Tech Talks, and my speaking gig is from captivity to freedom. So, because captivity can be many things in your life. Can be your own struggles, your own adversity, your own situations. So this is the way I want the people to read the book. The people say, "Wow, this guy went through a lot of things, and look how it is, what he's doing." So for me, this kind of giving inspiration of the people that you can, any adversity in life, you can overcome it. It is matter of having the proper mindset, having the connection with the people that you love. That I was having so much support, and the letter for me was everything, and finding a meaning in life, because this is another thing that I discovered there. Because at some point, like 1 year after being there, we begin to receive books, and I was reading like a crazy. But at some point, I didn't have nothing to do. I was all the day reading tons and tons of books. Every book that came to me, I was reading and reading and reading. But there was a particular book that when it came to me, to tell you the truth, I don't know how it came. I don't know who brought it. But one day I saw this tiny book, not so big, but it was so powerful, the message, because this is a guy that he was under captivity during the World War II in the concentration camp. And he wrote a book how he saw the people that survived. The book is called "A Man in the Search of a Meaning" from Viktor Frank. Today is the second best book read it from the Nazi period after the Diary of Anna Frank. So it became a classic. So that guy was kind of talking to me when I wrote the book, and I said, "Oh, this is what I had to do." So I decided to put me in my survival mode and transcend. So we decided to create like a plan, and in the book I talk about that. I talked how we decided to convert this in a plan, in a daily basis, how we did it, how we managed to survive, and well, and today I converted that even in a coaching program. So.
Yeah. Okay. So, Coach Janine, you have any questions for him?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I want to salute your your mental health. Like it looks like you really had a surrounding, like a support system for you. You created and very creative. So I really salute your mental health capacity to go through all of that. My question to you is, what do you hope your readers will take away in terms of understanding, the larger geopolitical context of your or for your audience, like your deal?
Well, for me, the takeaway of the book is that any adversity in life, you can survive it, you can overcome it, you can be successful, and even you can thrive. So it's matter of having the proper mindset, having the connection with your loved ones, having being focused because this is important. Be focused is very important. Let me tell you why. When we were there, at some point we thought that we were lost. But when we got focused in the problem, because you said, okay, I'm having a problem. That is my situation. So you understand that that's your situation. When you get to that point, you see the things better, more clear. So being focused is so important. Another thing is maintaining your mental and physical health. We were doing when we were there, when we decided to create this plan, because we were the six. I'm not talking, we were six guys. We were living literally in a closet of 100 square foot. So can you imagine six guys living there without windows during years? So we decided to create a plan. And one of the things that we decided to create was the physical and the mental health. So we were reading hours, reading. We were exercising. It was crazy. We were like hamsters there, because in one corner was a guy with static running, in the other was a guy doing cardio. I was in my bed doing yoga. The other was, so everybody was doing things all the days. And we even have fun. We created with a small piece of paper domino. We were playing domino. We stay play, and the last thing is going back to your spirituality. We at the end of the day praying and reading the Bible.
Amen.
We did it like 3 hours per day.
Yes.
3 hours. We
Yeah.
dedicated almost 3 hours reading the Bible and praying, praying a lot. And when we finished, we were tired. Not only tired, we begin to shout out in Anton that is, we need to come back sane in body, soul, spirit to our family. It became like a daily anthem, and it worked.
Yes.
For us, it worked.
Wow, that is amazing. Another question for you is that can you describe the role, or, I mean, you just kind of describe, but if you can expand on that, can you describe the role of resiliency, friendship, and solidarity among the hostage, and how these themes are, moving into your book, the book narrative?
Well, this is a very interesting question because we were six. We were six. And we created internally a bond. A bond. We were supporting each other. We had something that for me was kind of the miracle of the hand of God. Because let me tell you, 6 guys, we were not friends. When we came with that plane, some of us was the first time we saw us. First time I saw that. So we were not friends. So when we arrived there and we were in that situation, at some point we began to present ourselves. Who are you? So all of us were guys with a successful career, more than 30 years. All of us had long-term marriage, more than 30 years. All of them have wonderful support in their family and their kids, their loved ones. Everybody had the same situation. There was not a guy that was 3 marriages and the other was 3 divorces and the other. No. 6 guys with wonderful marriage, wonderful wife, wonderful families. So for us, that was a immediate connection. So because for me, it was easy to talk to them about my kids, about my wife, about my family, because all had the same connection. So for us, that was something magical. So the bond was created. But in the book, I did a very strong disclaimer about that I want to respect their privacy. So my book is narrated in first person. I don't mention them because first I have to respect their privacy, and they have the right that if any of them want to talk about their situation, because I'm talking about my situation that I was feeling in my letter. So I respect that. Even we created that bond that today is still lasts. It still lasts. We had a meeting in July 4th that we unveiled a mural here. We had a meeting in Washington 2 months ago, and next week we're going to meet in New York. There's going to be this event that I'm going to talk. We're going to be in New York. So every time we see ourselves, well, we became like a brothers.
Yeah.
It's a brotherhood.
Awesome. That is good. But I know for sure that writing about traumatic experience can be emotional challenging. So how did you cope, with reliving those moments while you're writing your book?
Well, this is something I can tell you that because when I was writing the letters, I was not figuring out that will become my book. So now that I begin to edit the book, I had to do 2 things. First, the letters, they stopped 1 year before we came, because in that year already the negotiation between the US and Venezuela were going in a different mode. Already there was an ambassador that had flew to Caracas 3 times to visit us. So they relaxed totally the situation with us because they wanted to give the feeling that we were okay. So they they changed everything. So I stopped doing letters because I began to have phone calls. So
Yes.
I had like a lag during that period that I had to update it. And I had to update something related to this year that had been, so I had to go back to the letter. So when I was sitting down with my wife, because my editor was my wife, she was who compiled the letters. So we sit down with the computer, she beside me and revisited the letters. Let me tell you, she was crying so much. It was so emotional revisit those letters because you uh, today I'm having goosebumps when I'm talking about this because it's so emotional.
Yeah.
At some point, it was even hard to go back to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really hard. I had to do it because you had to be strong and you had to do it. That was really hard. But let me tell you, I encourage my wife to tell her story because there is the another part of the coin, of the other face of the coin is the family, what the
Yes.
family suffer. So she has a story of, so she really has a story of resilience because she stayed 5 years by fighting for me. I truly don't know how she did it. She has a small store that it was open 1 month before this happened. So, and she had to be smiling, attending public with this catastrophic problem in her life. Wow, if somebody is wrestling here, it's her, not me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
her.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Yeah. Were they any unexpected lesson or personal growth experience that you would like to highlight from your time as an hostess?
Well,
Like
yes,
how they
yes, yes,
portray your
yes.
book?
Yes, of course. First,
Yes.
that spirituality for me is something that believing God
Um,
boosted all over. The first
Amen.
thing I did when I came back was go to worship God in the church. And today
Amen.
I'm very connected with the pastor. The
Yes.
pastor know my case.
Mhm.
And that guy, every time he's talking, is he's this guy's talking to me. You know, it's so powerful. Today
Yeah.
I see the things more clear. I see the things, I see the hand of God all over. I see the
Yes.
miracles. I see the,
Mhm.
you know, I was not aware of that. Before this, I was not aware. Today I can see the hands of God all over. And
Yes.
I can see that he was there with us because even in that nightmare, he was protecting us. So this is something that for me is remarkable. The other thing that I can give to the audience as a takeaway is that you have to have a proper balance in your life because one of the
Mhm.
things that I learned that in my previous life, I was a workaholic, working 20 hours a day, not taking care of my family. And they did this so wonderful for me. And so now my family is well, and
Your
another
life.
thing is living the day one day at a time because I'm a very planned guy, and in my previous life I was always with anxiety to planning things 5 years ahead, and I didn't sleep, working like hard to go there, and then at some point being in the situation that you can neither handle to have the what food you was going to select in the day, so you lose totally the control. So you begin to live the life as a flow, living the life one day at a time because we decided to do that one day at a time.
Mm.
Today, I tell my wife, I'm not going to worry for the tomorrow. Let's see today and leave the things in the hand of God. I'm not saying that you don't have to plan. Of course, you have to plan because you cannot leave everything in the hands of God. But you need to have faith. Faith. And let me tell you something. That I learned this from the pastor today. It's not the faith in God, it's the faith of God. So
Yeah.
the faith that comes from
Mhm.
him, so
Yes.
that you know that the things are going to happen. So
Mhm.
and you work that to make that happen, but you are believe you are sure that things are going to happen. So today this is something that is part of my lesson learned, and I try to reflect that in the book.
Okay.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, you personally encouraged me, Jose. I think I haven't even shared this with Coach Tina yet, but I'm originally from the Congo, and we had a very similar situation. Being at 12 years old, I was in prison. I was
Um,
political prisoner at 12 years old. So me and my family, and I never really got a chance to write that journey. But just
you
by
had to
hearing
do
the
it.
story,
Uh-huh.
it kind of course, this is tangerine, because I'm
You
Yeah.
already
had to do
there.
it. You had to
Yes.
do it. Let me tell
So
you, you
you
had to do it.
encourage
Let me tell
me.
you, I today connected.
Yes.
There is a
Mm-hmm.
lady. Her name is Samantha Im, Sam In. I
Uh-huh.
am. She is a survivor from Cambodia. And today
Okay.
she has a, so I'm going to connect her to you. She has a
Yeah.
wonderful show. She's in
Wonderful.
Miami and we are
Mm-hmm.
connected because she was also, she's a survivor. You have to write your story.
I think so.
Definitely you have
So
to do
you
it.
have encouraged me, and I would love definitely. Yeah, me and Coachina, we will interview you on my show. You and your wife, I would love to interview you too, because
My
you
wife
can
today,
give
let me
me.
tell you something. My wife, today I'm surprised with him because my
Yes.
wife is shy. She never like to be. And the other day we had an interview with Telemundo. Telemundo interviewed us here. And when she was interviewed, the journalist was crying.
Oh,
She said, I told her, wow, she has a
Come on
powerful
every time.
message. She has a power. She is you, the ladies, have something that we don't have. You have
mhm.
a power. It's
Yes.
something, it's like a magical that I don't know how to do it. Let me tell you, today I still don't know how my wife handled all this situation.
Yes.
Amen.
She is super, super, super duper resilient. Let me tell you, I did
Both
something
of you
that
are.
no, but it's something funny. Let me tell this story to the audience. We always wanted to go to the Rose Parades in Pasadena all the
Mm.
life. We're natural from Venezuela, and when we were living in Venezuela, we always saw the show on January 1st in the TV. You always thinking that we would go. You know what I learned when I came back? My wife stayed 5 years buying the tickets, waiting that I came back. Every year she bought the ticket and refunded. Next year, buy the ticket, refunded.
Oh,
At the five
sweet.
Oh,
year, we went to January 1st to Pasadena. So when I was there, we went to the Walk of Famous in Hollywood, and I
Mhm.
bought her an Oscar, and I gave her the Oscar. I said, you deserve the
heard
Oscar.
this.
Oh, that is wonderful.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yeah. That's wonderful. So tell us about your book launch. Today is lunch and you have the event before. Tell us about that.
Well, yes, I'm gonna be in two events in New York next week. The first event is gonna be an international event organized by a foundation called the Hostage Aid Worldwide,
Mhm.
HAW. This organization, they take care of the hostage in all over the world
Mhm.
because this is an international issue. So they're gonna come people from UK, Belgium, French, uh, Philippines, Australia, Austria, United States, and I'm invited. There are gonna be several panels to talk about this situation. The name of the event is gonna be Battling the Hostage Diplomacy. And after that event, it's going to be sent a letter because it's going to be during the UN General Assembly. It's going to be formalized a letter to the UN to make this something like a official forum to talk this internationally. And this is something that I have been talking loudly. I have gone to the Congress. I went to the
Mhm.
Congress to talk about this. I went to the Congress saying that this is something that can become to be a really, really national threat to many countries, and that should be elevated to the UN level. For me, it's a miracle this guy invited to be there. And the other thing is that after that event, it's going to be the official launching of the marketing campaign of the book. It's going to be done by my editor, publicizer. And well, for me, there are two milestones in my life. For me, it's a miracle that 1 year, because in October I'm going to have 1 year, before 1 year, I accomplished these two milestones. Be part of this big movement worldwide that's going to be talking about this situation. In that event, there are going to be people that I'm today connected through Twitter and all these social media, because we are in the same situation all over the world. It's going to be kind of cool meeting them in person, having the opportunity to know people that I'm today connected. So it's going to be a very remarkable event, because the power of the event is raise the awareness of this situation worldwide. And the other thing is that my book, I'm going to support with a part of the proceed. I'm going to donate part of the proceed for those wonderful institutions, that because there are several institutions that the people don't know them. There is the institution called the Foley Legacy Foundation that is one of the strongest advocates for the hostage situation here in the U.S. There is an organization called Hostage USA that they take care of your physical and your mental health. So talking about that, they take. I stayed in 1 week in a trauma center, paid pro bono. I didn't pay a penny. I have a therapist taking care of me on a weekly basis, pro bono, paid by them. And there's an organization, this hosting AWA, and there is another organization called the Ahmed Fakuri Foundation. There is a guy was called Ahmed Fakuri. He was kept in Lebanon. And when he flew back, he was released 5 years after. He died 6 months after that. He didn't make it. He didn't make it, and then the foundation has his name. So these 4 wonderful foundations, I'm going to support them. They're going to support me. I'm going to support them.
Okay.
So it's going to be a mutual support, because part of that is try to amplify the message. They knowing those institutions, at the same time they're going to be supporting me, so it's going to be wonderful. It's wonderful.
Okay, that sounds good. So your event is next, what is on the 18th?
And the 18th, September 18th. We're going to have, by the way, this Friday, I'm very active today in LinkedIn, and have a audio room that I co-host with as a lady called Angelica Corral. We're going to do this Friday a LinkedIn audio at 5 p.m. where we're going to talk about this with the audience. Because today, in any instant that I can, I'm talking about raising the awareness about the hostage situation. My book, I think that the legacy to the people about overcoming adversity, but at the same time, raising awareness of this terrible situation that's happening, because today many of the international hostages that I know, because I know all the people, the families, are regular guys that were in the wrong place and in the wrong moment, like happened to me. And some guys has 10 years, 12 years, 7 years, because the problem of this situation that you get caught in the middle of tension between 2 countries. So it became a nightmare for you. So raising the awareness for me is something that really is part of my mission that I have today.
Yeah. Since you've been back, yeah. Okay, I thank you for coming on. You have any final words, Coach Janine?
Well, I just want to really applaud you and really salute you to say, may God continue to give you the strength to keep going, you and your wife, because like you said, this is a movement, and I'm so proud of you guys. And definitely, I can't wait for more people to really share the story. So you encourage me, and I'll be sharing this with my family as well. And
well, let's be in contact, because I'm going to do like I did with my wife, to push you to make your book go out.
Absolutely. I'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, it's always a pleasure having you on.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Jose.
Bye-bye.
Say hi to your wife.
Okay.